Good morning, guys. A quick preview of today's meeting at Warwick Farm, mainly to explain the difficulties and why it does look such a tough little day. Currently we've got 7 races and sorry, just checking the latest track condition. So it's off 6 at the moment with the rail out 5. That doesn't seem to be the biggest problem. So if we go through the races quickly, the first race we sort of face a small field with a lot of question marks. So you've got Kingsguard showing up favourite, second up for Team Hawks from New Zealand off a very sort of average effort where it was a little bit one pace. They didn't go too hard there and maybe it didn't suit it. It is open to improvement and up to a mile looks suitable, but very one pace sort of character. The second favourite, Flying Firebird Flyer, sorry. It's had the 4 runs now for Waller, 4 seconds. Does look best set up, it has been for the first time. Dropping back from the 1900 to the mile, did look like it needed a few runs to get it fit when it arrived here, and definitely is still open to improvement, but is becoming a little bit unreliable. Citrus can improve for the Waller yard, going from 1350 up. It is obviously a class rise, but it did stick on quite well there, and the slow pace probably didn't suit it either. Duke de Vega can improve, second up. Looking at you, only had the 1 run and made a bit of an early move. Did get a little bit tired there late, but does look a nice type that can improve. And over the air does look like getting a bit of a soft lead again. So it's really a tricky little race. Firebird Fire, probably the one to beat. I'd probably be opposed to Kingsguard a little bit. I'm not too convinced by the horse, but still not too surprised to see it get away with this race, and basically any other horse can win. One of the kind's the only horse that would surprise me. So not wanting to spend too much more time on that race. Race 2, the 3-year-old fillies over the 1300, and again a few question marks. Echo Queen ran on late, comes back in trip here, does look an easier race than last time, and must be the horse to beat. Brant has shown a lot of ability but has plenty of quirks and took forever to wind up first up over the 1100. Is going to be suited up to 1300, you would imagine, and has the winkers coming off this time, which is interesting. Diamond Media's racing okay. Wu Tai Mountain's a big query horse with the blinkers off first up. Has raced against better, but it does look to have a few convictions of its own. Eva Luna comes out of a decent enough race the other day and does sort of profile as one that can improve. It's probably the third winning chance, I'd say. The top 2 and it were the ones I'm sort of most interested in, but again, not a lot of value, and plenty of queries there in a small field. Race 3, Elusive Star, obviously no luck last start, had it pulled up with thumps, trialled well since, deserved favourite here. Crafty Tycoon had not a lot of luck on debut and can improve as well. Big Artie's trialled extremely well. That does look suited to the 1400 metres first up. Has been gelded, obviously, blinkers coming off. He'll get back, I would imagine, but can finish a race right off. I think they call this Deus or Juice. It's a horse that looked a really nice type during its first prep, but did a lot of things wrong, had a lot of convictions, has come back, trialled really well. Blinkers gelded, lugging bit, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it run a big race, and the rest look a bit tested for mine. Aldous in the betting, but it does look a pretty one-dimensional character, and I think there are better horses in this race. So Elusive Star, Big Artie, Deus are the 3 I'd be playing around. There does look a little bit of value there. They did bet $35 Deus, which is a crazy price, but unfortunately that's long gone. Race 4, and it doesn't get any easier. There are some nice horses here. Argy Bargy does look an interesting one. Sort of 200 metres up in trips, probably the query against it. Other than that, it does look the horse to beat. You've got Contented and Happy and South Sonic coming out of that same race. We'll have a quick look at it. So, I'll go back to before Bowman took off. So, Contented and Happy back here, wide. They're not in a good position, and Bowman takes off in a second. They are going quite steady up front, so this is a big effort to make this early move. South Sonic, which eventually runs second in the race, sits back and watches it all unfold. So this horse has done something a lot. See where South Sonic sort of creeps around him. He's made that quick move. Bowman ends up 4 wide. Not easy to do this at Canterbury. Was going from 1100 up to 1550, 1200 to 1550 this day, so pretty solid effort to do all that, get to the front, and had to get tired really. South Sonic on the opposite hand takes forever to sort of wind up, eventually hits the line strongly, but this horse is not really weakening, you wouldn't say, and South Sonic took for that whole period to get past him. He's strong late. So here I would give the nod back to Contented and Happy back in trip. I think South Sonic definitely looks like it's looking for further. I wouldn't say it can't win, but it's probably likely to be running on again strongly late. But Contented and Happy kind of barrier draw today does look an interesting option. Fair Front's trialled well enough. Long Reach was okay. Lord Macau's trialling like he's a really one-paced horse and probably wants further than this already. Magical Lease trialled it okay. Went okay first up. Green in behind him at Beaumont. Can improve a little bit. Nemrod's trialled really well. Night Manager not as well. Probably a bit. It would be the surprise. Ready for Success comes out. South Sonic's the one we talked about that may get home late. One trial from Scream Arbor a long time ago. Bit smelly, but what a really positive market lead to entertain it. And Argy Bargy obviously was a bit stiff at Gambler, but it's hard to say what would have happened had he got out. He did look a bit unlucky here, and it was a pretty solid race. So, but I'm tipping he wouldn't have won it decisively. He might have got there, but I doubt it would have been a big margin win. So he's right up there. Contented and Happy's up there with him as the leading chances. Nemrod's the one that's unknown a little bit, but also looks the best of the first starters. They're the three I'll be playing around with a little bit of confidence, but not. There are queries around it, obviously, with first starters and some gear changes and things. Race 5. Sick of these 2200 metre races this time of year. They're driving me a little bit mad, but there are two horses here that looked to stand out a little bit. You've got Lie Direct on the 4-day back up from a run at Kembla. They've put Panya back on, and you would imagine they're going to roll to the front here. This is Lie Direct here leading, so obviously travelling quite strongly here over the 2000. This was the second run at the 2000. This time in. Princess Aria's low flying, but does only have a short sprint, and this horse ends up winning Rosa Ruby, which had the softer run. So he does well to kick on quite strongly late here when looking beaten by the two outside horses. He only kicks back to beat Princess Aria, but they do gap the rest. Hard fit on the 4-day back up. Panya on, he's going to give him something to chase, so I think it's a genuine chance. And the other one, despite copping 61 kilos here, is Dua. Very quick look at this run at Canberra. The back second last. Just watch from here, it's worth watching. So this is a second up run on a heavy 8 over 2,000 metres after a really good effort first up over the 1400 behind Koseki Dane. So goes for inside runs. It's very difficult to pick up, one on a heavy track, two over this sort of trip. Second up, so she misses that run, gets poleaxed. Has to fight hard to hold that run again, using up excess energy, and still finds the line and runs away. So that was obviously a much softer race than this, but she's going well. And then last time she came to town, they went disgracefully slow, and while everyone else took off early, Vassal, Toucan Chu, unfortunately Dewar sat back and waited for it to all happen. And this is the most impressive part of Pitt's race. Really finds the line late against a slow pace, so no chance given the way it was ridden, but did run as well as could be expected. So the horse is flying. This is a class drop from that race. Pays for it with the big weight range, like 6 kilo weight increase. But they're definitely the class horse of the race. Austin's probably the other real winning chance down the bottom. He's a punishing horse, and Hot Mustard and something Borrowed are going okay. Even Ruby the Red and Dazzle Charlie are going okay, but neither of them really look too progressive. So in that race, I think Dewar's 360 is probably about the right price, but Austin's come out, sorry, since I last looked. So Dewar around the $3.60 mark does look fair enough, as does $8 for Lie Direct, considering he looks like he'll probably roll to the front, and as long as he doesn't get any pressure from Ruby the Red Zaneta early, he can run a bit of a race on the quick backup. The last two races look insanely difficult. Seeking Asylum, coming back from Saturday grade, does look a bit of an interesting horse. Had a really tough run on the heavy 10, 2 starts backed up 7 days later, and raced like a bit of a tired horse, but can sort of bounce back off that 2.5 weeks since that. And this is an easier race, goes up to the 61 kilos, that's the hard part, and sort of a wideish gate or tricky gate. But it has a class on these horses, that's for sure. My Dream went okay first up. Sweet Kiss, the one I thought could improve, straight to the front, lugging bit on. Missed the kick last start, terrible ride, sort of pushed and shoved and had no chance once it got to there. This does look a bit easier and does look to get a soft lead. Chosen Perez going okay, did look to have every possible chance last start, so not one I want to find here. Lychair went good first up. The jockey isn't riding at his peak, so it is a bit of a query, especially from gate 14 where that horse is going to get to. Did race well first up, so has a chance. Total Authority going okay. Spiced is going well, quite a limited horse, but should be the one tagging Sweet Kiss and probably gives it a really solid chance. My Amazing Cool's up to 1400 for the first time this prep. Good effort late last start in what is a strong race for this. The two horses that won, that will finish first and second there, I would be backing to win this race, so it has a solid chance and hopefully can settle a bit closer from over the 1400. Loves the Fantasy, very limited horse and would need everything to go right. Nagging's probably the other interesting horse in the race that quite lightly raced and does finish off its races quite well, even though it does get back and need every hope, or need more than every hope to win its races, but does have a look to have a winning chance in this race. So very tough, and with little confidence, Seeking Asylum, Sweet Kiss would be the two I'll be playing, but My Amazing Cool probably third pick, and Spice the one that should be in the right position to win but does not win out of turn. So tough race. get to the last. This looks impossible. Rock My Lady drops back in grade after missing the kick terribly in Sydney last starter. It was well back there, so I'm not sure what the story was. The horse just seems to be not the same horse it was early to me, but not surprised if it improves back to this grade. Candy trialled very one-paced and didn't look like it was ready to me, but does have the class to sort of line up here, so I'm wary of it, and if there is money for it later I could entertain it, but scared. Steaming went really well first up behind a really slow pace at Hawkesbury. Should settle better position here and have every chance. Quick Defence off a decent enough trial, was heavily backed early before blowing heavily in its first start at Canterbury and raced accordingly. Very hard to line it up. Zebullions back in trip and grade is an interesting horse, but does look to give him a huge start and will need every chance. This is a horse I was interested in, Estic Raj. Blinkers and Gelded has trialled once, and that was nearly a month ago, so I'd say he may be ready to go here. It's a bit of a rough guess, and it's interesting that they've put Chad Lever on this runner. Rory Hutchings being booked for Mr. Darcy probably is a good lead for it. I thought its run was quite solid last start. He took off early at Wyong and kept coming. That race is probably okay for this, even though it's a step up in grade on paper. And that looks solid enough. Blinkers off Charming Lad, he's going okay. Our Beatnik's an interesting horse off a solid win first start at Scone, then a strangish ride and didn't look to handle the conditions. Next time out, that was 4 weeks ago and has not been back to the trials, so it's tough to line him up a little bit. He's definitely a solid enough query. Our Ventura is one that I can entertain. Came to Sydney for its first run at the Beaumont track off a longish spell. Got to the outside there, which is not easy to do and run on, and the rider did drop the whip about 400 out, so Blinkers are on up in trip. It's one I can definitely entertain, and that's probably the main ones that I was looking at. Like, it's a really tough race, but probably Steaming, Estic Raj, Mr. Darcy and Our Ventura are the 4. There is value in the betting, so probably going to play small in these races, but not too excited to get involved. Alright, so that's a quick look at Warwick Farm and the dangers that sort of come along with the day's meeting. Probably play it pretty soft from my point of view and look to probably get involved at the Wyong meeting tomorrow, which looks a better meeting on paper. Thanks guys, good luck.